Let's do it.
Welcome back to episode 3.
Welcome.
You're just ending your shift and we're starting ours. It's called the Second
Yeah.
Shift Podcast. We're
Just
still
getting it
working
on.
on our catchphrase.
Yeah, I mean, we got time. It's only episode 3.
Yes. Anyway, today we're talking about Lord of the Rings. And Jimmy just finished listening to the audiobook. Thank you, Audible. If you want to sponsor us, that'd be great.
Yes, Audible, please.
He just finished listening to the audiobook, and I've watched the movie several times, but I just rewatched it for this episode. And you watched it for the first time, right?
Yeah, so, excuse me starting the books was my first ever experience in Middle Earth. Like, I started out with The Hobbit, then went through all 3 Lord of the Rings books. So that was my first ever experience with it. And then seeing the movie, that was my first time seeing the movie, so actually being able to see all those, like, sweeping landscapes in New Zealand, pretty crazy. I understand why Dwight wants to vacation there.
Yeah. It really is amazing how they were able to shoot all that on location, or at least 90% of it. I mean, the scene where they're riding down the river after they hang out with Galadriel and head towards Gondor is beautiful. Like, I would love to do some whitewater rafting down that bad boy.
Oh, for sure.
Trying
See,
to
I just
outrun
love
Gollum.
how I love that the movies were all filmed consecutively too. So it's like you don't have to deal with the Game of Thrones bullshit where a 12-year-old girl is 19 in real life, and you're
Right.
like, wait, this doesn't kind of make sense.
Right. Absolutely.
They were able to actually kind of keep that. Is chronology a word? I was trying to think of this earlier.
Chronologically.
Chronologically, I thought there would maybe be a different word.
Yeah,
Sorry
there's a couple
about
of O's and L's in there.
that. Yeah, but
Um,
it kept its flow. Everyone looks the same, so the continuity is great.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you wouldn't watch all 3, right? Or did you watch the first?
I've only watched the first one
Okay,
so
all
far.
right. So we'll get to the second and third one as we go along these two to see like really how close did they shoot them and how consecutive was it, because it really is a great feat to have 3 massive movies and they're spread out across 3 years. It's interesting because like if you take any of your trilogies from any of your most popular trilogies, you go Star Wars 77, 80, 83. You have Indiana Jones. Technically that's 4, but the 4th one didn't come out until 2008. But that one started in 1978 or not? I think it's boy. Now I'm
Sometime
fucking it up.
back then.
Anyway, several year intervals, right? I think it's a great feat to be able to do it in such consecutive order, especially with the names that they had in there. I mean, Ian McKellen, Christopher Lee, obviously, kind of the younger actors weren't as popular. Maybe their schedules weren't as busy yet, but it's incredible. I mean, even if you have someone, if you have an executive that watches the first movie and then they're like, ooh, I really like that Sean Astin kid. Let me get him for like 4 or 5 movies in 2002, 2003.
Yep.
Then you pull him away from this. You know what I mean? So it's like It's just
Exactly.
impressive that they were able to do it that quick and, like you said, keep people at the same age as if it was just continuing the story. So
I feel like another good series of keeping kind of like that age continuity is Harry Potter.
yeah,
That they all, from casting it to actually filming it in the right amount of time, everyone looks the age that they're supposed to be. So
absolutely.
it definitely helps being able to compare the books to the movies, and you don't have this big like question mark on why does this person look a lot different than how I envisioned it.
Right. Yeah, I felt that way with the Percy Jackson movies. I don't know if you read those books.
No, I never got into those ones.
I'm a big fan of Greek mythology, and they're supposed to be a lot younger. But Alexandra Daddario is the girl in it, and she is fantastic.
She's pretty nice.
She's superb.
Very well endowed.
Anyway, yeah. Have you seen True Detective
I have not.
season 1? Her and Woody Harrelson have a little flang.
What lucky man.
Yeah, and I think well, if I do remember correctly, you see pretty much everything.
Does he have Twinkies with him?
No, but it's that season is one of the best seasons of TV you'll ever see. It's him and Matthew McConaughey as detectives in Louisiana. It's fucking amazing. Really good twists. It's like a 6-part Criminal Minds episode with McConaughey and Harrelson going back and forth. It's just it's
Okay.
fantastic. Yeah, and it's probably on HBO.
Okay.
Anyway, So, my question for you is, after listening to the book and now watching the first movie, fill in the blanks. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. What's the difference? What should they have added? What should they have taken out?
So at least for me, I felt like the first book to the first movie were pretty much dead on.
Mm-hmm.
I know I keep comparing it to a lot of things, but like the Game of Thrones first season to the first book, that was pretty much dead on. There were a couple of omissions, but obviously that's used to just keep continuity going, keep it interesting.
Right.
So obviously that happened with this movie, but the plot itself, it was a very straightforward plot, and the book and the movie are actually both able to follow that same line and keep it pretty similar to each other.
Mm-hmm.
That there were some differences. I mean, going back to the time. So to me, I feel like this is the biggest difference between the book and the movie. So in the beginning, everyone's surrounded for Bilbo's 11th birthday.
Yep.
Thought that was great that they said 11.
Yep.
That's besides the point. So they're all there for his birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and his birthday that night is when he goes on his adventure.
Right.
So in the movie, it fast forwards to where we maybe think it's, I don't know, maybe a couple months to a year. And then Gandalf comes back, tells Frodo that he's got to go, and that's when Frodo starts his journey.
Mm-hmm.
But in the books, though, it's a 17-year difference.
Wow. I did not know that.
So
I mean,
it's
it would
like
make sense, but at the end, so Bilbo gives up the ring and then goes on his journey.
Yeah, Bilbo
So
gives
he
up
would
the
have
ring,
he would have
goes to
aged.
Rivendell.
He would have aged 17 years at 111 years old. So then he
Well,
would have been. I mean,
so
that's
the
crazy.
thing is, though, the amount that he aged in that year or so that was in the movie is pretty much the amount that he aged through those 17 years.
Okay.
That was one thing that they kept pretty much the same, but
Got
yeah,
it.
a period of 17 years. And I mean, I understand why the movies made it a year rather than 17, so you didn't have to get a complete new cast of actors.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't think it really makes a difference. It's just going back onto the what the character should look like. Should be a lot older. Like Bilbo shouldn't still kind of look like a preteen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no offense to Elijah Wood, but he is a very, very big baby face. I mean, same with Sean Astin at that time too. Got
Yeah,
those big round cheeks, no facial hair.
I agree. I agree. So there was a 17. Okay. I mean, yeah, I feel like that doesn't really. If the book doesn't go into too much detail about what he was doing during those years, like if it didn't
Yeah.
impact the story that much, I feel like you could leave that out. I guess.
I mean, those 17 years, he's just still living in Hobbiton, just doing what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, he got Bilbo's house, so obviously there's tending to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure he was able to keep busy for 17 years.
Yeah.
Hobbits don't do anything.
Yeah, those hobbits just like to see things grow. I'm sure they were
Mm-hmm.
having a grand old garden party.
Exactly. So yeah, that I feel like could have been quite possibly one of the biggest differences.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, another big difference was kind of in the middle of the book. They skipped, or not in the book, in the movie. They kind of just cut out like 4.5 chapters.
Okay.
So I'll just go into that one a little bit. So yeah, a total of 4 chapters and a part of the fifth were just completely missing from the screenplay. Those chapters were A Shortcut to Mushrooms, A Conspiracy Unmasked, The Old Forest, In the House of Tom Bombadil, and Fog on the Barrows Downs.
Okay.
So those ones, I mean, I'm pretty sure Fog of the Barrow Downs, that one was the partially included chapter, but the other 4 are just completely gone.
Okay.
So these chapters, they relate on the adventures that the hobbits took on their journey through the woods and the fields of East Farthing to their eventual return to the main road near the village of Bree. So it's like right after they're leaving Hobbiton on their way. It's like takes place in that little period.
Okay.
So within these chapters, it includes a dinner at the house of Farmer Maggot, which reveals the conspiracy of the hobbits to prevent Frodo from leaving his town. It's got an adventure in the Old Forest, which includes their encounter with Old Man Willow. It's got a brief stay with Tom Bombadil and Goldberry, and their capture by the Barrow Wight. and their subsequent rescue by Tom Bombadil. Um, but really, all these chapters are pretty much fanciful. The inclusion in the screenplay kind of really wasn't necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were talking about it earlier. It pretty much would have just added an hour to the movie.
Right.
That really wouldn't advance it too much.
Yeah. I
So
feel
it's
like
like,
yeah, and I feel like if you're a movie executive, the closest you can make it to 3 hours.
mm-hmm,
For money making purposes, for attention span purposes, and even 3 hours. Put like for end games purposes.
mm-hmm,
That even 3 hours is as close you can make it to having like the intervals between when they could shoot them or when they could show them at a movie theater
mm-hmm.
because you want to maximize how many times you could show it. So I think the closest to 3 hours is probably best. If you added those in there, probably would have made it a nice, I don't know, maybe it's close to a lot closer to four.
Well,
And
there already is the 4 hour extended cut. So,
yeah, yeah, that's true. But
but
so
see,
you don't think that they didn't need to do that? There was just kind of just additional.
yeah, I mean, them not including that in the movie, I mean, it did change one slight thing. Um, because they weren't captured by the Barrow White in the movie. Uh, you remember when they're fucking when Aragorn got them all and he gave them all the swords.
Mm-hmm.
So in the book, they got the weapons when Tom Bombadil actually came to kind of rescue them from the Barrow White. So the Barrow White actually had this one sword. Um, I forget what the metal was, but it was a special sword that when they all got surrounded by the dudes riding the black horses wearing all black,
Mm-hmm.
when they all got surrounded, that knife was actually able to kill them.
Interesting.
So that's like the only thing that wasn't really played out in the movies because they couldn't show that Barrow White scene. So rather than them all getting the weapons from that part of the movie or from the story, you just get Aragon giving him four hobbit-sized blades that he just so casually had.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
But I mean, it doesn't really affect it too much. It's just kind of, oh, that's kind of strange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't. I wasn't hung up on it, but I was just like, huh. Got a lot. Where'd he get those swords from? How is he
Mm-hmm.
carrying those? The horse? Does he have it on the back of the horse, just ready for them? I don't know.
Yeah. So then, another kind of difference, but not really that kind of game changing. That scene also when Frodo gets stabbed by the Witch King with the Morgul knife.
Yep.
Um, in the movie, it kind of like shuts him down completely. It's very dramatic. He's almost crippled with the pain, and he's pretty much on the verge of death.
Yep.
Whereas in the book, he kind of gets stabbed. He blacks out, but then wakes back up feeling a bit weak. But I mean, he's still able to talk. He's still joking around, trying to lighten the mood.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when the elves come in and start to work on him.
Okay.
So now, another difference when they're getting rid of the Nazgul, the black dudes. Well, not
Mm-hmm.
black dudes, the dudes wearing black. Don't hate me. When he's kind of fighting them with the sword and the torch.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. The ring wraiths.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the ring wraiths. So in the books, because he has that special knife, they're all scared of him. He, I think he like kills one, and then the rest of them flee.
Mm-hmm.
And then Frodo was muttering the word Elbereth, which is a high elf word. I don't know what it means, but the Nazgul also hated it, so they started to fear Frodo rather than really try to want to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, because Frodo's sword was the one that was deadly to them, he said that word, it just drove them off. And then they didn't really return.
Gotcha. Okay.
Um, Another difference, in the movie, it was Arwen and not Glorfindel who came to the rescue of Strider and the rest of the hobbits.
Okay.
Just a different person, but doesn't really do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Uh oh, the sword Narsil, the one Isindil had in the beginning that chopped off Sauron's fingers.
Yep.
How it's like broken up into 6 pieces. In the book, it's only broken up into 2 pieces, and Strider just constantly carries it around.
Okay.
Um, well, I guess since
Do you
we're
call him
talking,
Strider all the time, or would you call him Aragon too?
so going off really only the first movie, that they've called him Strider more so than anything because the only real interaction they've had with other like higher up people is that council.
Okay.
So it's pretty much just a bunch of kids walking around with this dude, and they knew him as Strider. So
Okay. Okay.
I mean, yeah, Aragorn Strider, same guy. But
Aragorn
yeah,
kind of makes me think of the spider from Harry Potter.
oh yeah, Aragog. It's kind of crazy how alike a lot of these names are.
Oh yeah, there's so many Oh my god, I wrote a couple things down about what I thought. You know, like what
Hmm.
J.K. Rowling took from this, and
Okay.
obviously George R. R. Martin too. It's
Yep.
almost like every fantasy writer has to have a fucking initial in front of their last name. You know.
Well, especially Lord of the Rings, though, that this was such a trailblazing thing for the whole fantasy genre.
Mm-hmm.
So every other fantasy genre out there's gotta reference this somehow.
Oh yeah, yeah. It would be doing a disservice to it if it wasn't. So.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's like everybody's like, "Oh, how does J.K. Rowling come up with this shit?" You know, it's like, oh, well, she took a lot of things from this. I mean, a lot of tropes and a lot of themes,
Mm-hmm.
even some level of mythology and character development as well. So, um, but yeah, it really is. It's really I'm still kind of in awe that they were able to get it done, and then have all the praise that they got for it too. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like obviously people were fans of the Lord of the Rings books, and they've been reading them since early 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
But to actually see it played out on screen and have them do such a good job with divvying the script up amongst 3 movies is really impressive. Like I know that they when they originally went to the producer or the executive of Miramax, which is the
Mm-hmm.
company that gave them the money, they were like, "This is 3 movies, so figure it
Yeah.
out." And they're like, "Oh yeah, you're right. We're gonna have to rewrite this thing." So, hats off to them. I really think it's a great feat.
Well, put your hat back on because apparently the new Lord of the Rings show that Amazon's doing or
Hmm.
whatever, it's supposed to be shit.
Really?
It's like they only purchased like a part of Middle Earth,
Who purchased a part of Middle Earth?
Amazon Prime.
Oh,
Like that they only like bought the rights to 2 characters.
they only brought 2 plots of land in the metaverse, not
I
the entire thing.
Yeah. So it's like they got to
Fuck's
make up a
sake.
whole bunch of characters around these 2 guys and kind of make up the story as it goes along. So I feel like it's gonna kind of go the Game of Thrones route.
Yeah, I could see that. It's having a free trial for like
Mm-hmm.
Minecraft or something like that. You can only go to certain spots of the world.
Yeah.
Fucking Amazon cheaping out. Come on, Bezos, take some of that rocket money and put it towards Game of Thrones or fucking Lord of the Rings. You punts.
I guess
Um,
Wheel of Time's not doing too great for him.
yeah, really. Um, yeah. What else from your side? Do you think?
Uh, let's talk about the Gandalf and Saruman meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So that one was kind of a bit different as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as we know, when Gandalf and Frodo split from Hobbiton, Gandalf says, "Hey, I gotta go somewhere. Then I'll meet you in Bree."
Yep.
Well, the only real journey that we see Gandalf take is the one to I think
To Saruman.
yeah, where was he at? I found the name of it earlier, but I forget the name.
Where his castle was?
Yeah.
Uh, Obviously, it was on. Well, when they started to dig up the trees and dig into the ground, wherever
Yeah.
the orcs were hibernating underneath, right?
Yeah, well, Where it is irrelevant.
Okay.
Before he gets to actually seeing and talking to Saruman, um, it first. Well, we only see him go to Minas Tirith. In the book, though, the journey he goes primarily to find and capture Gollum.
Hmm.
Quest in which Aragorn aided him actually. So because of like the 17-year difference, kind of, Aragorn was able to help him on this, and then still meet the kids in Bree
Okay.
because there's actually that time difference. But
But they didn't
it
actually capture Gollum because Gollum was captured
exactly,
by Mordor.
and he was put on the racks and shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Um,
that was probably a good idea for them to do so that he wouldn't rat out who stole the ring from him in the first
mm-hmm.
place. Okay, I see what you're
Yeah.
saying. But they didn't get that done. So by the time that was incomplete, he was already captured by Mordor, and they
Mm-hmm.
were already on their way back to, or Aragorn was back on his way back to Bree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then kind of when Gollum got captured, Gan- so the goal for getting Gollum was so he can kind of interpret the ring of what's going on.
Okay.
Um, but when Gollum got captured by Mordor and uh, Sauron and all those dudes, Gandalf kind of remembered that the words of the ring. I'm pretty sure Saruman could read it. Like he knew the High Elvish that could understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of trying to go to Gollum, he tried to get the scroll of Isildur, which had kind of like the inscription of the ring on it. So he could give that to Saruman to be able to read.
Okay.
So after Gandalf took the quest and turned toward White City, Aragorn found Gollum and bestowed him into the keeping of the Wood Elves. So rather than him staying with Sauron in Mordor the entire time, he actually gets out,
Mm-hmm.
and then Aragorn gives him to the Wood Elves to
Okay.
kind of like hold him off for a bit to keep him just safe first and foremost, keep him in one spot and kind of interrogate him on what's going on.
Yep.
But that's when Gandalf learned kind of like the chronological order of who had the ring, how Deagle, who was like I guess Gollum's dad or Smeagol as he is also known,
Mm-hmm.
he found it after Isildur, like I guess lost the ring, where he died and it fell. Well, in the movie, it's it falling into the bottom of the river.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really any clarification on whether that really happened, and I don't remember kind of how that went. But yeah, so Gollum ended up getting the ring. So that's when Bilbo found it in a cave, which so that's all the Hobbit story, that entire thing of the adventure that Bilbo goes on with Gandalf and all the other guys, to where Bilbo actually finds the ring, Gollum, my precious, and all the riddles and shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's all in the Hobbit, but that's kind of like summarized in that little flashback in the movie.
Right.
So Bilbo ends up getting the ring after Gollum loses it, and then yeah, he holds on to it. He's able to stay nice and young,
Oh yeah.
but
Then
uh,
how old is Frodo then if he's 111?
so
Does it say in the book at all?
I think I mid or 40 no I think he's like 35
Really? Holy crap.
because it's like Gandalf came back on like 17 days exactly after or 17 years exactly after Bilbo left.
Okay.
So it was like exactly 17 years after. So I'm pretty sure it was like 35 or something like that.
Okay. I could see that.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like Hobbit like whimsy. They're just
Mhm.
kind of they seem like they're really just like 18 or 20, 24.
Yeah.
Just real young and kind of well, they never obviously left the Hobbit, so it's kind of like wherever they were going into
Mhm.
a totally new realm. So
Yeah.
okay.
But this entire journey of looking for the scroll, getting the Gollum, all the interrogations, that took like 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of took up the bulk of that 17. So kind of irrelevant going it to put it in the movie since that 17 years is just 1 year.
Got it.
There's no way Gandalf could have done all that in a year.
Well, leave it to the wizard.
Well, yeah, true. Um, so then Gandalf gets to where Sauron is, and then in the movie, Gandalf like openly says, "Hey, a hobbit in Hobbiton has it, or a Hobbiton in the Shire."
Mm-hmm.
But in the book, Gandalf never revealed that actually. Gandalf is kind of just like prancing around who actually has it, saying, "Oh, there's someone that has it. It is found. Must be protected." But Saruman actually has to deduce where it is based off just the various sources of information that Gandalf's saying.
Yeah.
But he's never really able to find out where it is
Gotcha.
or who has it.
In the book, at this point, is Saruman a trusted source, or is he like, is he someone that is Gandalf not telling him on purpose because he knows that if he got hold of the ring, been he would have used it for evil purposes?
I'm pretty sure Gandalf like kind of got the shadiness.
Yeah.
Plus, he really cared for Bilbo and Frodo.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, well, not a lot of people knew hobbits. It's like hobbits were kind of a very unknown creature in
Mm-hmm.
those times, and a lot of people are surprised to see hobbits. But it's like Gandalf was really close with them and really genuinely cared for him. So I think because he just didn't want to betray them is why he didn't say anything.
Yep.
Plus, I think he had an inkling that, oh shit, Saruman just might want the ring for himself. He might want the power.
Yeah, and I think that that's like one of the biggest themes of the whole. Well, obviously for the movie, right? Is like power corrupts, and
Mm-hmm.
you could have the best intentions, but once you receive that power and once you are bestowed that,
Mm-hmm.
it actually will turn your well-intended purposes into mostly evil. So like,
Mm-hmm.
you can see when Frodo tries to offer it to Gandalf, Gandalf's like, I can't be tempted. And
Mm-hmm.
then when Galandro is tempted to take it, she says, "Oh, I've passed the test because if she, being such a powerful elf, if she
Mm-hmm.
was able to take it, she would have basically turned into Sauron herself. Like
Yeah.
she would have essentially been the heir to that because power corrupts as soon as you are bestowed it in this movie. Like
Mm-hmm.
as soon as you have that ring, with that power, uh, it, it really does hit home the fact that like I think that the hobbits are kind of like this really unique species where like obviously Bilbo can hold on to this thing for X amount of years, and him being kind of really well kind-hearted and kind of like a not necessarily weak, but the hobbits are really small, like they don't have any magical powers, right?
Mm-hmm. Just a
having
lot of
them
instinct.
having them protect it, having them be the holders of it for that long, that amount of time is probably the smartest move.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it makes perfect sense that someone so small and so innocent and powerless should hold the most powerful object because it wouldn't really corrupt them. It wouldn't. I mean, there would be their destruction would be minimal if they
Mm-hmm.
was to corrupt them. So
I feel like it's definitely a mix of that and then just the inherent nature of hobbits. Hobbits were kind of like instinctually never left Hobbiton.
yep.
It was like before Bilbo went on his. I think they said he was like the first Hobbit to actually go on an adventure, or was like something in 1,000 years that a Hobbit's gone on an adventure.
Hmm.
So it's like they don't leave Hobbiton. They don't leave the Shire.
Right. Yeah, and in the beginning of the movie, like Frodo's doing a little bit of a dialogue, and
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Oh, Hobbiton and the Shire, we love peace. We like peace and quiet. Like this is our, like you said, that's our nature is to be peaceful and be calm and stay within your roots and watch things grow." So, yeah, I mean, I think to bestow something so powerful on someone so innocent with really good intentions is the best move. And obviously, you know, you couldn't give them the ring forever because obviously it was awakening.
Mm-hmm.
It was speaking to its master. It was awakening evil forces. So eventually they would have been found out. But I think you know it's why it's such an interesting story. It's like you have to give the kind of the biggest underdog the biggest feat because
Yeah.
they're not going to be tempted by it. They're just going to protect it. They're going to have the best intentions for it.
I feel like it's a lot of, oh hey, don't underassume the small dude.
Right.
They're trying to say everyone has a voice, everyone has a purpose.
Right. Right. It's like it's don't sleep on those short guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Size doesn't matter. You hear that?
Yeah. 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 I'm not too short though, but you're not short either. So what are we talking about? You're like what,
Tall.
5'9", 5'10"?
5'10 and a quarter.
Ooh, a quarter.
I fucking hate it.
Well, you
It's
want to be
like
five
I
eleven?
can't even be 5'11". Say I'm 6 foot.
What? Really? No way. She's not that tall. Really?
Who?
Sam?
Oh no, she's 5'4". I
Oh.
said I'm not even 5'11", so I can't even say I'm 6 foot.
Oh, I thought you said Sam is
No,
6 foot. I was like, what the hell? Did she
Jesus.
just grow in the last
Yeah,
year?
she had a fucking growth spurt.
Yeah.
She's now trying out to for the WNBA.
Christ's sake. Um, but yeah, I think the corrupting. It's a corrupting influence
Mm-hmm.
of power, right? It's like, it's as soon as you have that ability, no matter how good your intentions may be at first, once you have that power, it'll corrupt. And keeping it out of the most powerful people's hands in the story is such a move.
So
Um,
now wasn't the whole story supposed to be kind of based loosely off World War II? Am I tripping on that?
do you you mean like the ring represents the nuclear bomb?
Just kind of like the principles, like you don't give the scariest people all the power in the world because it'll truly corrupt them. Like more
Um,
like a Hitler or Mussolini kind of deal. Like Hitler has the ring, so what does he do with it? Kill 6 million people.
yeah, I think that could be, and I think it also has a kind of a counterpoint to that because technically all the main characters are white, but they're actually from different races because
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. The Hobbit, you have the humans, you have the elves, you have the
dwarves.
dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really about if you were to compare it to Hitler's kind of one race theory, right? One race to rule them all in a way.
Mm-hmm.
They're fighting that with the combination of five different races and five
Mm-hmm.
different cultures and backgrounds. So it may be a response to that in a way, but I do think
Yeah.
like if you were to compare the bomb to the ring, one bomb to rule them all. You know what I mean? Think about it like that. Um,
But we
where
dropped two.
right, right. So maybe there's another ring somewhere. Maybe that's what the prequel show is gonna be about.
Maybe.
No way. But yeah, think about it like
Definitely
this:
gonna be interesting.
the bomb is awakening his master. Like it's been lost for a long time, and it's calling out to its original creator, to come corrupt it. And so it's like, you know, the minions will find the most powerful individual and cling on to them, and the minions could be seen as maybe like the Japanese or the Italians clinging onto the Germans, something along those lines.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe.
because they, say you have the bomb and you have the ultimate power. Um, those with the same ideologies would latch onto that power. So it's the same idea of the ring representing a corruption of power, right?
Yeah. Well, also, you can kind of go off of like how there's one ring to rule them all, and then there's the umpteen other rings that are given to the lesser people.
Right.
Kind of like, oh hey, you kind of matter, but you're not the most important.
Yeah, like the kings, the ring race,
Mm-hmm.
and I also think that for their situation, they're feeding off of, and Gollum too. They're feeding off of the power that the ring gave them,
Oh yeah.
and you could almost say that as an allegory or a metaphor for addiction. You know what I mean? It could be that being utilizing something that is so powerful and so impactful for such a long time, it degrades them. It
Mm-hmm.
destroyed Gollum. It turned him into like a frog-like creature. It
Mm-hmm.
destroyed those kings and turned them into not alive, not dead.
Just
Essentially,
masses, almost
yeah.
Dementors.
I was best about to say that. That's one of the biggest, in my opinion, biggest influences on Harry Potter. Right?
Yeah.
They look the same. They almost kind of move the same. Um, they kind of have the same purpose. They're feeding off of happiness,
Mm-hmm.
right? And but yeah, like think about like an addiction. Like it's destroying them from the outside in.
Yeah, definitely an addiction
Um,
type. And I mean, you saw when Bobo was just around the ring again after such a long amount of time, he goes crazy.
yeah, that fucking CGI comes out.
So now, actually, though, that's another difference between the book and the movie. The movie, it kind of like presents itself as that actually happens,
Hmm.
whereas in the book, it's almost kind of like, oh, the ring made you see it. Like the ring can kind of see what he's feeling inside, but not what actually physically comes out.
Okay, interesting. Um, I also think that the ring, kind of, well, it's obviously the story is timeless, right? Like you can attribute it to today's day and age, and I think
Oh
one of the
yeah.
biggest things about the themes of it are kind of like technology, right? Like the power of technology can corrupt someone with the best intentions. It can
Mm-hmm.
corrupt someone with that power of, you know, sure, it's a good thing to connect people across the world, but is it a good thing for technology to invade your privacy? Is it a good thing
Mm-hmm.
for it to have you completely reliant on it? Um, you know, and over time, like obviously the technology is growing at an exponential rate.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. It would be interesting to see, you know, how this story is perceived 20, 30 years from now. If it's I don't know if it's taught in schools per se. Definitely not Christian schools,
It's
but
probably banned in schools.
yeah. But it's a timeless story. It's
Well, I mean,
a
hey,
applicable
it's
story.
already almost 20 years old. Or, no, wow, it's over 20. It's almost 70 years old.
Right, right.
So
When did
it's
it come
like,
out? 1940,
um,
80, 30. I can't do
no,
math.
The Hobbit came out, I'm pretty sure late 40s. Let me just look this up real quick. Uh, yeah. Oh, The Hobbit actually came out in 1937.
Hmm.
And then
So The Hobbit wasn't necessarily about World War II.
The Hobbit, no. But then, yeah, The Lord of the Rings came out in 54. 54. Yeah, okay, so here's the three publications of the books. July 29th, 1954 is The Fellowship of the Ring. Then November 11th, 1954, just 4 months later, The Two Towers comes out. And then 11 months later, in October of 1955, is The Return of the King.
Okay. Yeah, I bet you that. I bet you World War II had a big impact on how he was continuing the story.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
there's a fucking war, and it's, you know, it's very much about the different races. It's very much about the land. It's very much about the power.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but another Harry Potter idea that I had is about, you know, say Sauron is Voldemort,
Mm-hmm.
and he's essentially a almost like a mystical being at this point, right?
Yeah.
It's just, you know, he looks into the ring and he sees the eye. The eye is not necessarily there yet, right? But the the idea and the mythos around Sauron and like the legacy of it is always there, and it's ingrained into the ring. Like
Mm-hmm.
his a portion of his power is ingrained in the ring. We don't fully see the power of it, right? Because like I said, if you give it to the weakest person, you may not be able to see the full potential of what it is, what it can
Mm-hmm.
do. Like, but if you gave it to Galadriel, she would have blown the fucking world up.
Yeah.
But in I like to think of it, and it's pretty cool to think about like Voldemort when he was killed, or before he was killed, divided his soul up into the Horcruxes, and so there's a power or there's a sense of his soul in each of those Horcruxes, still living on, and that's essentially what kept his mythological being alive.
Mm-hmm.
where
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
I think the ring really does hold the soul of Sauron and essentially a portion of its power. Obviously, when they do finally destroy the ring, right, it
Mm-hmm.
dissipates. But I think that it felt a lot like the necklace, right? The
Yeah,
in
yeah, the locket.
yeah the locket in the seventh book, where Ron's wearing it for like a couple weeks straight, and it turns
Mm-hmm.
out that he just is fucking he's pissed off. Like it's the locket is ruining his attitude and turning him against his friends.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you can see Frodo starting to go that route. And I think it starts to corrupt his personality. It starts to corrupt his day to day life. Obviously, he isn't able to utilize the power, so maybe it's almost frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, think about it like a Horcrux. Like his soul is divided up. It's put into that ring. It's power as well, and it's really at the end of the day pure evil because
Yeah, definitely.
it's a way for him essentially almost to live forever. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
can make something that makes a hobbit live to 110 years old, think about what it could do for like a normal human or a
Mm-hmm.
elf or you know.
Well, that's another one of those things with kind of like the stories of both Sauron and Voldemort. They're both thought to be dead, but it's like their soul and their being just kind of still lingers until it's eventually brought back again, stronger.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, I feel like that's just probably a very common trope in just a lot of fantasy.
Hmm. I also
But yeah.
like. I think the character choice is really really good. Like I think people that played the characters, obviously Gandalf is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, you never think about you never really think about Viggo Mortensen as being like a great drama actor, but he really is like in this role. The
Mm-hmm.
time he's very quiet, but when he has to be, he's very outspoken. Um,
I mean, you got Ned Stark.
yeah, I mean he has like a psychotic break. You
One
can
does not
almost see.
simply go to Mordor.
Yeah, you can almost see he's like sickening as soon as he's trying to grab for the ring
Mm-hmm.
from Frodo in the woods, right?
Yep.
Um, the way that the characters are described and defined, and the backstory for who's the elf in the wood elf, the head wood elf that is played by Agent Smith.
Oh,
I forget his name, but he has a really good backstory, and like it
yeah.
shows him fighting in the original war, and I forget his fucking name. I know the actor's name is Hugo Weaving. Anyway,
Yeah, I don't have it in my notes.
I think that yeah, the casting choices are fantastic. Obviously the cinematography, shooting on site in New
Mm-hmm.
Zealand, you can't beat that. It's
For
beautiful.
me, I feel like the best casting though was with Saruman's character. Not so much for the character that he plays, but kind of just the role he had in developing these movies.
Hmm. Christopher Lee. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Because I mean, he literally wrote a letter saying, or to the director saying, "Hey, I should be in these movies."
Hmm.
And then it's like every day after shooting wrapped up, they would both go over the script, make sure it actually lined up with the books, and they made it. I mean, this is regarded as one of the most spot on fantasy movie series that follow the books.
Hmm.
And it's really all thanks to Christopher Lee. So I feel like them casting him not just for the role, but just kind of for the historical aspect to keep everything in order and correct.
Hmm.
I feel like that's what really made the movie.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I made a little bit of a Lord of the Rings Hall of Fame here because
Okay.
if we're gonna do the next two movies, we might as well start by kind of ranking things in this one, and then we can come back to it
Okay.
as soon as we're done with the other two. Um, so from this one, starting with best heroic gesture.
Mm,
I think it's
I'm
really
gonna.
tough because everybody has their own courageous act.
Well, I think I mean, I'm probably gonna say maybe the most basic answer, but Frodo just being like, "I'll take the ring."
Yeah,
I feel like, all right, kid got chutzpah, you know?
yeah, I think that's huge. From a movie perspective, just from the way that it seemed like almost like he was laying his life down on the line, is when Strider or Aragorn
Aragorn.
tells him to run and then fights the orcs off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't really understand what's happening at the time, and all of a sudden he starts running. And then Aragorn turns around and there's 5,000 fucking orcs in front of him. Like
Mm-hmm.
that, that's sure death. I think that, and then obviously Gandalf, but he kind of knew he was going to survive that. You know what I mean? When he fights off the demon on the bridge.
Yeah, so that's actually another really famous difference between the book and the movie.
Mm.
So it's like everyone knows you shall not pass, and he breaks the bridge. And that was a great interpretation.
Yes, it
Or
was. Impression. It's
impression. Wow, I'm blanking. But yeah, so he says that, and then the bridge collapses.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, in the books, there's kind of a scuffle in between it, and then Aragorn and well, Aragorn and someone else goes to like get him, and then that's when Balrog actually comes out and is going to get them, and instead of shouting "You shall not pass," he goes "You cannot pass."
Aha.
So kind of like not really telling him what to do, but like, hey, I'm stronger than you.
You cannot pass. There's just no way you can.
Yeah.
May I go to the bathroom? I don't know. Can you?
I hated that.
I don't know. May I? All right.
Can I piss on your floor?
All right. I'm thinking I'm gonna go with yours. I like Frodo stepping up.
I just feel like that I mean, yeah, obviously it doesn't have a lot of action in it, but that's I feel like probably the turning point. That's what sets the adventure in motion.
I agree. Okay. Best actor in this film, like best performance.
Mm,
Keep in mind, Ian McKellen won the Oscar for it.
well, I mean, I feel like Gandalf is the kind of default answer.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, obviously you gotta like Elijah Wood.
Yep.
He does a very good job. Sean Astin is Samwise.
Yep.
I feel like he plays a very good just support role. Plus, he kind of has that pluckiness to just really kind of get into it. 'Cause,
Yep.
I mean, he's a very timid guy. First time outside of the Shire. I mean, when he's walking through the farm before he got to Brandywine, or yeah, Brandywine and Took,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Brandywine. Um, Before they met up with those guys, it was like, this is the farthest I've ever been away from Hobbiton, and just kind of waits a moment. So it's like I feel like Sean Astin played a really good, timid, shy young person who's going on his first adventure. I would go with Sean Astin.
I was gonna say the same, and I'm sorry I messed up. It's Ian McKellen got nominated. He did not win.
Oh, okay.
Not.
Well, still, everyone knows Gandalf.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know Lord of the Rings, you know Gandalf. You shall not pass. Everyone knows that.
Yeah. I mean, I think Christopher Lee. I think if he was in the movie for maybe 5 minutes more, I would have probably gone him. But not quite enough. I don't think. I think.
Yeah, because I mean, he wasn't even supposed to be in the second one, but they just kind of put him in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta keep him in as much as you can. It's fucking awesome. Also, I think that obviously the way that Gandalf looks is probably kind of what they were going for with Dumbledore.
You don't
Same
say.
type of hat.
You don't say.
Same beard, same everything.
Literally almost the same face.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of crazy how much Richard Harris and Ian McKellen looked in both of those roles.
Yeah.
Just how similar.
Yeah. That's true. Best action scene.
Um,
I'll,
So
I'll
I
give you a
feel,
couple nominations. So
well, I was gonna say I feel like this movie would only have a couple,
yeah,
because this is kind of just like the stage setting.
yeah. From the time that they're on, I want to divvy it up. I want to divvy it into five. So their trek until they get to the caves. So like up
Okay.
on the mountain with the snow coming
Mhm.
down. Once they get to the cave, the tentacle monster from from the tentacle monster to the monster or the fucking ogre.
Mhm.
So that's two. Number three, the whole scene where they're trying to get out of the caves, ending with them getting up to the top.
Yeah.
Obviously, the whole orc fight scene,
Mhm.
and then from there, probably the fight between Gandalf and Saruman. So I would probably go with the fight. I would probably go all in the caves from the time that they go tentacle
Mhm.
monster to when Frodo gets stabbed
Mhm.
and he has a chainmail on.
I was gonna say Gandalf or Saruman. I feel like that's just a good fight to kind of show like, hey, not everything's as it is. Things different. People change.
Right,
So you kind of gotta like be on your toes with everything in a time like that.
right.
And it really shows how power can corrupt relationships, and
Mm-hmm.
really shows a really good flip. I feel.
Yeah, I could see that. It almost felt like they were just kind of throwing each other around. I would have wanted more magical, like
Yeah.
kind of like one of those scenes in Rick and Morty, like I think in season two, where Rick's fighting his miniverse self, and
Oh yeah.
he lets out a snake to attack him, and then the other guy lets out an eagle, and he picks out the snake and flies off.
Mhm.
I kind of wanted it to be like, you know,
Yeah.
Gandalf creates a gator, and then Saruman comes back with fucking gold bald eagle, and they fight it out, and like it's almost kind of like like your Patronus charm fighting each other. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I kind of wanted that.
So,
So
so Pokemon, pretty much.
sure.
Fucking the legendaries on top of Saruman's tower.
Okay, so we'll do a tie between wizard and ogre because I feel like they met their match with the ogre. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah,
that
definitely.
dude was fucking OG,
Mhm.
super OP. Best CGI. This is tough because I mean, for 2001, it's really impressive, but also you can tell when they're fighting the ogre, it kind of felt like
Yeah.
the first, um, you know, I mean, Harry Potter came out in 2001 too. When they fight an ogre in
Mhm.
that, and it kind of feels the same. Like they use the
Yeah.
same
All right.
look.
I definitely I got my answer for this.
Go ahead.
In the beginning at Bobo's birthday when they're doing all the fireworks.
Yes, the fireworks are solid.
Now, if we want to go back to another book difference, the part where Brandywine and Took steal the dragon firework. So in the book, they didn't steal it; it was just let off normally,
Mm-hmm.
and it was supposed to symbolize Bilbo and his adventure to Smaug. Smog, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's Smaug. His adventure with Smaug with the dragon going, and to signify that dinner was ready.
Okay.
So it was kind of just like them getting Brandywine and Took to set it off, just kind of showed them as the mischief makers of the movies, almost like the comic relief.
Right, but then they changed their names for the movie. So Pippin and Mary, right?
No, that's their first names. I just couldn't.
Oh,
It's m- m- uh, Pippin
Mary,
Brandywine and
Mary Pippin.
Mary Brandywine and Pippin Took.
Okay, got it. I was gonna do and this is the hard. This is why I say it because like it's really hard to do,
Mm-hmm.
according to uh, Corridor Crew visual effects artist React. Water simulations. So like the scene where what the fuck's her name? Liv Tyler out the elf is getting chased by the wraiths.
Mm-hmm.
She gets across the little stream, and you think that the wraiths aren't going to cross it because the horses don't like water or they don't like
Oh
water or
yeah.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They start to come in, and then she calls out to the water and the water comes rushing through.
Oh,
It's
true.
really well done. For 2001, water simulations are. It's even hard to do water simulations today that are believable. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going for that because it really sweeps them up.
Okay.
So
I like that one.
I was impressed with that scene, and I watched it on my projector, so that
Oh,
it just felt good. So
nice. I like it.
I'll do the fireworks and the wata. Best cinematography. I think when they're on top of the mountain walking is really fantastic. When they're up on the rocks up there trying to trek, when they're going through the river, it's fantastic.
I
The
I
very
honestly feel
winding
like
river.
for this one, I can't really give a top. I just love all the sweeping landscapes, all the green, the
Hmm.
cliffs. I mean, any scene where they're actually on site,
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, I would agree. It's really hard to do. I think that the river though is the way that they do the sweeping river. There's
Yeah.
also a scene about 2 minutes into fighting the orcs. They do like a flyover shot, and it's really good. It's really
Okay.
impressive. Um, so I would go probably that one. But
Yeah, that's
overall,
fine.
yeah. Wait till you get to the second and third one. I mean, it just gets more expansive. So obviously you
Mhm.
can see more. They go to different areas. They go to the twin towers.
Mhm.
So, not the twin towers. Sorry, the two towers. I want to make that clear.
I'm not saying anything.
So yeah, we'll do just basically everything, but check out that sweeping shot.
Mhm. Nice
Best
winding river.
costume.
Uh, huh. I don't know.
They were also nominated for best costume design.
I could see that. Well, I feel like the dwarves, they always look good.
Yep,
They always look kind of short, stout, mangy looking.
lots of armor.
Mm-hmm. The dwarves always look good. Um, Again, obviously, Gandalf, iconic.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like the best overall looking character, in my opinion, is Legolas.
I was about to say the same thing. Maybe it's just because Orlando Bloom was sexy.
He's he's a good looking dude,
Yeah.
and like so I have a thing where I really don't like that super straight platinum hair that almost molds to the top of your head.
Mm-hmm. Is it because you don't like the Targaryens?
No, their hair has some volume.
Okay.
Like I'm talking flat, just kind of lays there limp.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know. He makes it look good. So I feel like he's just the best overall, just or most visually appealing character.
Yeah, I would
Um,
agree. I would agree. I think the yeah, I think the elves look good. Um, Nobody really dressed to impress. I think the main elf, what the hell is his name? I keep forgetting. The same guy, Hugo Weaving. All right, I'm just gonna find it right now.
oh, Elrond.
Elrond. He's got some good get-ups.
Yeah, yeah. I like the way the look of the whites.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like them in their just all black outfits, the horses all blacked out. I feel like they look real slick.
Real slick. All right. This one's interesting. Best all-time. This is just for any. You could do anything, but I think
Hmm.
it's an iconic piece of this movie. Is the score, like the soundtrack. So, where would you rank this on top fantasy soundtracks? Because it competes really well with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And it's tough because I really like the Game of Thrones. The Ramin Djawadi, that's killer. But then
Hmm.
again, I didn't like the finale, so it kind of ruins the whole fucking show for me. So I'm gonna go Lord of the Rings.
Just to be different, I'll say Game of Thrones because it's
Oh,
like obviously I didn't like the last season, but it didn't completely ruin it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I still love just the entire Westeros history. Just
Yeah, I like the history. It just stinks to know that that's what they ended it with. You know?
yeah, I feel like it's one of those ones though. That was like my first real entrance into the fantasy world.
Yeah.
Like I watched the entire Lord of the Rings, or wow, no, Game of Thrones. I watched the entire Game of Thrones series in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. It's killer.
But like I watched it before I watched any of the Harry Potters, before I read those books.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like this was the first real just entrance into a fantasy world.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's always going to hold a higher regard in my heart than most. But Harry Potter and
Harry
Game of
Potter's
Thrones,
fantastic.
those are my top two.
Yeah, I agree. I love their Harry Potter soundtrack. John Williams, baby, all the way.
That soundtrack, man.
It's got so many different things. It's so many different things like in it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, in the first three movies, well, four, they're pretty similar. I think John Williams did the fourth one too, but I know in 5, 6, and 7, I think it was a different composer. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, it went into a darker turn in those seasons, so
Yeah.
it made sense as to why they would want to go that way. Because
Mm-hmm.
John Williams is like always so upbeat because he does, he did Indiana Jones, he did E.T., he did Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
he did Jaws. Well, Jaws isn't upbeat, but
But
no,
still, Jaws is iconic.
it is when they kill the shark. There's fun music after that, or when they're chasing after the shark. There's like it's like happy music.
Like
Anyway.
I live on the beach. Every year they play Jaws on the beach.
What a fucking nightmare that is. Come on, kids. Let's go to the showing at the beach. We're gonna go watch a movie. Yeah, mommy, I can't wait to lay in the sand and watch a movie.
With sharks swimming in the water.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should definitely have a Harry Potter series because, oh man, I can get into Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, me too. And now after we've got into these, we can kind of compare them more about what J.K. Rowling referenced and took from those. So
See, I feel like us doing Lord of the Rings first is a good kind of entry point into reviewing fantasy series because how much of just is based off of this.
right. It was really the first book to come out and establish such mythological and mystical, the battles for kings, the battles for race, for ideologies, religions, magic.
Well, one of the crazy things is this isn't like the first fantasy series to even come out. I mean, you got all the, what was his name? H.P. Lovegood?
What's that?
Or Lovelace or something like that? He's like the OG fantasy guy.
I do not know about it.
That's where,
Speaking of the Game of
Tolkien got a
Thrones
lot of
finale,
oh, is it time to bring it up?
listeners, if you would indulge us.
Lovecraft.
Uh-huh.
H.P. Lovecraft. That's his name.
Oh wait, Lovecraft. I've heard of him.
He created Cthulhu.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, but yeah, he's like he's the father of fantasy.
Yeah, he's old.
Okay, but back to this this Game of Thrones thing.
Yes. Yeah. Let's do. You want to act it out a little bit? It won't take us too long. We're over an hour right now.
I mean, hey, we're here. Let's do it.
Okay.
All right.
So I'll read it out until we get to a spot where we have some dialogue, and then we can alternate some dialogue here. For the listeners, I started to rewrite the Game of Thrones finale. As you can probably imagine, it's a lot of work because you're not really given a lot of you're not given a lot of places to start because you know how it did end, and it's where they ended in season 7 going into season 8 just kind of felt rushed. So it's like you got to tie things up. But do you have it open?
Oh yeah.
Okay. But in my finale, there's 10 episodes at an hour and a half each. So no
problem. You're gonna get everything in. You're not gonna have to rush anything. Okay. You can close up all the storylines. You can have every character meet each other and interact in a way that everybody wanted to see. All right. So, if you're still with us, here's how it goes. So, alternate ending, and it's not complete, but this is just a couple of ideas. Anything that's not mentioned stays the same. Small scenes such as Brienne becoming a knight, Arya and Gendry sex scene, yum. Brienne and Jaime sex scene, they stay the same. 10 episodes, hour and a half each. Part 1, Episode 1. Winterfell, Daybreak. The head unsullied march through the wooden gates and into the warm embrace of Arya, Sansa, Bran, Brienne, Sam, Andy the extra, Lady. Oh yeah, Andy the extra.
It was Andy the
I forgot about him. There's a guy in Game of Thrones that is always in every fight, and he's like famous for being the extra.
Okay.
So he's in this now.
Okay.
He has his own story, I think. I don't know. Lady Mormont, she is the young girl, right? I think.
Lyanna Mormont, yeah.
No, the young girl.
Yeah, Lyanna Mormont.
Is her name Lyanna?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And the Umber children.
Okay, she's honestly my favorite character.
Yeah, she's
her killing the giant.
badass. Yeah.
Iconic.
So essentially, everybody that's in Winterfell is a part of the Stark stronghold in a way, right? Like they're the families that are behind them. Mm-hmm. Behind the army becomes Jon and Dany riding side by side, followed by Davos, best character, Tyrion, Varys, and the Dothraki Queen's Guard. They set up camp outside the walls with the remainder of the Unsullied, the Northern armies, and the Wildlings. The camps are quite the spectacle as fires and tents cover thousands of yards beyond the walls. And that's thousands of football stadiums for all you people out there. The armies total over 10,000 men and women in preparation for the coming threat of over 150,000 undead and White Walkers marching upon the wall. In the High Tower, this is at the Night's Watch, Tormund, Dolores Ed, Beric Dondarrion, and the remaining members of the Night's Watch keep a close eye on the Northern Trail. They were barely able to get down from the wall alive as the Night King destroyed it with Viserion the episode before. So this is the season 7 finale of where the undead dragon blew through the wall. Assuming that the last hearth was destroyed as well, the men expected to see the army marching upon Winterfell within less than 3 days. Jon suddenly rides ahead of Dany as he sees what's remaining of his friends and family. He jumps off the horse and runs to hug Arya as he had not seen her in over 8 years. This is true. They haven't seen each other since the first season, right? Mm-hmm. I never thought I'd see you again, Jon whimpers to Arya. I see you have a needle. I always know you'd learn to master it. Arya grins with tears running down her face.
You look like father now.
That's funny shit. Jon laughs and stands up to greet Sam and the rest of his family. Sam, with a nervous smile, says, "Here we are together for the end of the world." His smile fades as he remembers the gravity of the news about Jon. "We need to speak in private when you've set in." Jon nods and turns around to help Dany off her horse. The awkward, judgmental gazes from the Northmen cause Dany to peer around in nervousness. However, she knows they are just astonished and tentative for now. Sansa opens her mouth to speak, but before she can, Rhaegal and Drogon fly over Winterfell and let out a loud screech, startling the entire crowd except for the incoming characters. A combination of fear and awe overtook the Northerners, and many smiled as they soared around the castle. They land in an open area near the weirwood tree, as this would be a fantastic shot to show the snow-covered tree with red leaves contrast the colors of the grandeur of their dragons, also physically and mystically combining the majestic aspects of both houses. Anyway, I literally wrote that. I was thinking out loud.
The ellipses.
Sansa raises her arms and exclaims,
"Winterfell is yours, your grace. Welcome to the north."
Dany smiles and approaches Sansa. "Thank you, Lady Sansa." She turns around to address the crowd of Northerners gathered in the courtyard.
Monologue.
Go ahead.
Oh, I got this one. Okay.
Yeah.
I know many of you are very skeptical of my arrival, my intentions, and of my name. I know you do not trust Southerners. I know you rightfully trust John as your king. I have come at the request of your king, the man that I love, to aid in the defense of the great castle and land. I am Daenerys Targaryen, last surviving member of the Targaryen name, and I have traveled hundreds of miles, freed thousands of slaves, and affected millions of lives for the better on my journey to the throne. I have vowed to break the wheel that is the Game of Thrones as I rightfully take my place upon it. I am a person of mercy and love. I am a person of devotion and passion. And I am the person who will take down Cersei's destructive power and punish her accordingly for her unruly treason to the noble citizens of Westeros. However, before we are able to achieve this, the Great War must be won. My dragons will lead us into battle, and the long night shall be lit once again.
Good job. John grins, grabs Danny's hand, raises White Claw. Is it White Claw? Is that the name of his sword? I totally forget.
Strong Claw.
Is it?
No, Long Claw.
Oh my god.
Fucking alcoholic.
White Claw.
He raises a White Claw and says, "This shit'll be lit."
Yeah. This shall be the fight of our... Oh, he doesn't sound like that. It's not Billy Kimber. This shall be... I can't do it anymore. There shall be a fight of our lives. The Northmen raise their swords and do the same. A few seconds later, Tormund and the Night's Watch do the same up in the high tower, and Jon smiles at them and... Oh, shit, actually, they're in Winterfell. Sorry, they're not on the wall. They're at Winterfell in the high tower. Tormund and the Night's Watch do the same up in the high tower. Jon smiles at them in recognition. In the midst of the tremendous chant, Dany's fierce, gritty impression turns back to nervousness as she realizes the Northmen's reaction was majorly for Jon's single sentence. She catches Sansa's eye and sees her with a serious, almost distasteful look. Tyrion and Varys exchange glances at the interaction as well. Next scene. Jon knocks on the Maester quarters door. "Come in," says Sam.
Okay, quick pause.
Yes.
If I was in Game of Thrones and I was a maester, my name would be Maester Bader. Continue.
Maester Bader.
Hello, Maester Bader.
Mr. Peter, no home. Jon sits down on a wheelchair in the office that used to be Maester Lewin's. Sam was the official, unofficial Maester in Winterfell now, and the title suited him well. Before Sam could say anything, Bran rolls out from the shadows, looking very ominous.
I got this one. John, there's a matter at hand that both your brother Bran and I have to... Oh, wait, no, that's Sam. Never mind. John, there's a matter at hand that both your brother Bran and I have discovered simultaneously,
Sam said with a slow, deliberate tone. If you're gonna say that I'd... Oh, fuck. This is... this is John. If you're gonna say I shouldn't have brought Danny to Winterfell, Sansa and Arya have already been in my ear about. Before he can finish, Bran speaks up.
Do you want it or me?
You got it.
All right. No, John. This is something else entirely, Bran says. I am now the three-eyed raven. I live in the past mostly, and I can relive events that have occurred. Recently, I have visited the death of our Aunt Lyanna. What I saw will change everything you've ever known about yourself and your heritage. Lyanna was not raped by Rhaegal Targaryen. They were in love and were secretly wed.
Sam continues Bran's explanation. They named her son Aegon. However, Lyanna was killed during childbirth. She entrusted you with Ned Stark and made him promise by the old gods and the new that he would never reveal your true identity and keep you as a bastard named Snow. The reason I know this is I stole a few books from the Citadel library and stumbled upon The Truth of the Secret Wedding. John stiffens in his chair. His face turned white, and he let out a deep sigh of despair and astonishment. He had been fornicating with his aunt, yes, but he was also in love with her. Who says this? John, this information would make you the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. Okay.
We don't know who said that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. This is where I kind of just I gave up on the dialogue and went into bullet points.
I like it though.
So instead of the long night happening in the beginning, it'll happen in the end. The Northern Squad will create a master plan that will yield lower death rates to ensure a larger army for the Night King. Arya, Jaime, and the Hound will become game changers in killing Cersei, the Hound, and what the fuck am I talking about? Skip ahead. Night King continues to march south. However, the leaders of Winterfell decide to march on King's Landing after Jaime explains that Cersei is lying about sending her forces north. So that's true. Theon and crew ride to the Iron Islands to sail with Yara and the Iron Fleet from the northwest to fight Euron's fleet in Blackwater Bay. On the way to King's Landing, Yara and Theon go to recruit any of the Dornish people to help in the fight. Leaders can make pact that the people of King's Landing need to be liberated from Cersei. Not one should be hurt or killed. Varys used his little birds to spread rumors that the rightful queen has returned to Westeros to help defend the nation from the White Walkers in the north. However, they are coming south immediately. Also spread the rumor discrediting Cersei, blew up the church, yada yada. The northern ships also meet up with Yara as they sail southeast towards King's Landing. The northern army marches along the King's Road, led by Jorah, Brienne, Jaime, Gendry, the current call, which is actually that's a cool little, I like that, Grey Worm and Tormund, this is a fucking team right here. And the heads of the other northern houses, Umber, Mormont, and Karstark. Jon and Dany ride Rhaegal and Drogon, respectively, above the fleet. Along the way, per Gendry's instruction, they set numerous dragon glass traps. See, this is what they should have done. Glass traps.
Glagon traps.
Glagon grass. They set numerous dragon glass traps and especially focus on the twins, as the whites can't cross water easily. The Night King will just freeze the water, ideally. But the dragon glass traps would, ideally, stop a lot of them from getting around that. Ed Martelli soon joins the forces as well, as he realizes the dead will not easily cross the twins, but when they do, they'll be the first to die. Promises to aid in putting the traps up as well as join in the fight for overtaking Cersei. He has a small scuttle with Jaime over their pass, but all is well. Remember when Jaime got captured by them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sansa rides in back with Jon Royce and the Vale soldiers. She's strictly there for strategy and diplomacy, or maybe more. ... Along the way, Jon and Sansa recruit every house willing to fight and muster up as many soldiers and fighters as they can. Arya and the Hound travel together off the King's Road and closer to the shore, as they have devised a plan that will give them both the revenge that they want. Is this the last page? Oh, man. Cuts to Cersei making Euron think the baby is hers. Euron gets hard, says he'll defend her with his life, and that kid will grow up to be the strongest Navy man in the world.
Seaman.
Yeah, I should have done that. To which she rolls her eyes, leaves to meet up with the Captain Strickland of the Golden Company, who are carrying 500,000 paid cell swords and 50 attack elephants. Which,
they actually have the elephants.
yeah, yes, they do, which would be really cool to see. On the way south, Jaime and Tyrion ride closer to the front of the pack as they pass by the twins. They approach a similar face, carrying the crossbow Tyrion killed his father with, Bronn. He surrenders and joins the fight because he can see the winning side in any fight. Whatever side those dragons are on, I'm on.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Which is exactly what he would have done, not become the master of coin. Fuck you, D&D. Golden Company and Lannister soldiers plus the Bannermen set up camp outside the city walls, covering the King's Road, subsequent entryways from the north or west. Euron and the Iron Fleet guard the bay. Total of 200 scorpions built, covering the walls of the city. To kill the fucking dragons. Anyway, Arya and the Hound devise a plan to get both revenge that they seek. Arya takes the face of Lannister soldier. See, this is what they should have done, again. And chain up the Hound and explain that he was trying to enter the city. So you walk in with him as a prisoner. The Hound is a treasonous bastard for leaving his king on the night of the Battle of Blackwater, because that was the night that they used
The wildfire.
the wildfire, and then he left Joffrey. Cersei
Fuck
will
the king.
Yeah. Cersei will sentence him to die at the hands of his brother, the Mountain. Arya will begin to walk the hound closer to the mountain. As the mountain reaches out to grab the hound, he rips his loosely latched, and that's where it ends, I think. Fuck.
The suspense is killing me.
Oh,
Loosely
God.
latched what?
Why didn't I finish this? Anyway.
What I was gonna do was, Arya so as Arya gets close, they realize that the hound's chains are basically unbroken. He fights the mountain, and Arya goes to kill Cersei. However, who steps in to save her?
Jamie.
Jaime. So Jaime, with his one arm, steps in to save Cersei. As much as she's fucked him over, still loves her, right?
Oh man, you could have stumped me.
Yeah, well, but there's the kicker. Who comes to protect Arya from those two? Brienne of Tarth.
True.
So in the throne room, there's the Mountain and the Hound fighting. Arya is trying to kill Cersei, fighting Jaime. The door's open. Here comes Brienne. I have to protect her. She is of my protection. She has to fight. So Jaime knocks Arya down. Like she's like hurt somehow. Like I'm thinking maybe she just got like a slash to the leg or a torn ACL or something crazy.
A slash to the leg or a torn ACL. Something crazy. Two completely different things. But continue.
Well, no. Think about it. Like maybe she gets her ACL sliced. Anyway.
Okay.
Brienne says, in her mind, I love Jaime, but I have to protect Arya. I have to protect her. So she gets the upper hand on Jaime. Obviously, it doesn't take very long, and she has to make a decision. Does she kill Jaime and her love, or does she protect? Does she protect him because she loves him, or does she kill him because she loves him? And it's a Shakespearean tragedy, right?
Okay.
In the meantime, Cersei.
Can you hold your thought real quick?
Yes, go ahead.
What about this? So they're fighting, but Brienne's refusing to fight Jaime. She's only doing like defensive work because he's just trying to slash at her.
Yeah.
Because he's just filled with emotional rage.
Yes.
While he's slicing and dicing, trying to get to Brienne, Brienne hits him with, "You're going to kill me and your baby?"
Oh, fuck. Well, that's good.
And then drama ensues, and then Cersei's like, "The fuck she just say?"
Oh, I like this.
Make it like a Jerry Springer moment.
Yes, that's fantastic. And then what Cersei could do is get up and try and kill Brienne, right? To kill her.
She should just go, "I'm pregnant too."
Right.
And then Jaime, it just does a zoom in on his face. He does the gym office face. And then it just cuts to credits.
That'd be great. Bum, 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 bum. And that's how it ends.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I was gonna do is Cersei takes Arya's sword as she's knocked down and goes after Brienne. And you're right. Jaime has to make a decision. He has to make a decision between his sister and his new baby mama or his true love.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes after Cersei. He kills Cersei.
Oh, okay.
And it's a tragedy. So it's a tragedy. It's a double tragedy because Brienne doesn't want to kill her true love, but Jaime does not want to kill her true love sister. So who's he protect? Technically his baby mama or true love at this point. And the Hound and the Mountain are doing their thing. They have essentially the same fight.
Mm-hmm.
Because why not? But think about it. It makes so much sense to have. So they're going down the King's Road, recruiting everybody, telling them literally, if you stay here, you'll die. So the best place to come is with us, as far south. We can get into the castle, and from there we can set up a final attack. We can set up a final stand at the castle or within the King's Landing. And so what they have is essentially 2 dragons, a lot of scorpions. They're surrounded by water on the back. They could be surrounded by water on the front if they wanted to. They could build a moat, right? They have the walls. They have the numbers. They have, you know what I mean? They've taken all the people from the north to the south, so there's no additional people that could be added to the Night King's army. You have 2 healthy dragons in the daytime that can fight the Night King's dragon, and you have all the elephants. I mean, it just makes so much sense to make your final stand there rather than the other way around. It just doesn't make any sense.
So this was kind of the idea that I had for the ending that I would want. So, like, they actually do end up convincing Cersei to send troops north, but Cersei wants to spite them, so she sends them, like, 2 weeks late. Obviously, the same shit still goes down. Someone else can kill the Night King, I don't care. Could be Arya, too. Doesn't really matter. But the entire royal army starts marching up, and, like, they've had time to kind of, like, spread the word, like, hey, we won. But, like, they didn't come. They start seeing them coming, so it's like, as they slowly start moving out, they slowly start forming a circle until their entire army's circled. And then they just get picked off by the dragons with fire.
Oh, man.
And then someone still ends up killing Daenerys. All right.
See,
we got to do an entire Game of Thrones series too.
We let's do a Game of Thrones finale brainstorming session.
See, because in the books, there's another Targaryen. Young Griff. He's supposed to be
Who?
Yeah, so you know how when King's Landing was overthrown by the Lannisters and then the Hound killed the babies? So the male baby, Aegon, they say that he was switched right before King's Landing was sacked and sent over to Pentos.
Oh, interesting.
And then he was, like, raised in the Second Sons, raised as a beggar, but, like, he's secretly a Targaryen.
Intriguing.
And a lot more palatable and more popular, honestly, than Daenerys. So
maybe they do that. That'd be great.
That's something I could work on. Working on the young Griff angle.
Okay.
But yeah, we got series to start.
That sounds good. So yeah, I think that's probably a good time to end it.
Yeah.
Almost an hour and a half.
Good for us.
Killing it.
Yeah, man. And hey, we hope you guys like it. Just us rambling on about shit.
Yes.
What kind of episode do you want to do next week?
I wouldn't mind doing a little Rick and Morty, or something along those lines, or what do you think?
We could do Rick and Morty. We can just have like a shoot the shit Rick and Morty episode.
Yeah, I mean we could just break down we could break down 3 episodes and or because they're each like 20 minutes. So like we would have enough material to break down.
Well, plus also too, Rick and Morty is gonna send us on so many tangents.
Yes.
So yeah, let's do Rick and Morty next week.
Okay. Yeah, we'll discuss offline which ones we want to do.
Yes, sir. But we're pretty sure that the tens and tens of you that are listening to these probably Rick and Morty fans. So
yes,
definitely listen on because we'll have some good takes and some pretty good Rick impersonations.
Okay, Morty. Let's end this thing.
There we go.
Bad. Better next time.
I put you on the spot. It's okay.
Bye, folks.
See you guys later.